All right, everybody, good luck. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the second webinar in our Optimal Dynamics LinkedIn Live webinar series, in which we'll bring you in-depth coverage on pressing trucking and logistics topics. Today, we'll be discussing a new approach to spot freight procurement. It's obviously a hot topic in the industry, and it certainly comes with its challenges. Optimal Dynamics' recently launched solution, Source, aims to make spot freight selection a strategic process optimized specifically for your network and focused on maximizing utilization and profitability. To help us dive in today, I'm excited to introduce our three speakers. Giselle Burnham, Senior Product Manager, Joe Durante, Senior Vice President of Artificial Intelligence, and Zach Schuhart, Head of Sales for Optimal Dynamics. Because today's session is meant to be a brief 30-minute discussion, lines are muted, and we'll answer questions following up on today's webinar. And I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Zach to get us started.
Great, thanks, Erica. So just to kick things off, let's really just define what the spot market is. And obviously the definition of the spot market is kind of depends on which side of the table you're sitting on, right? For a shipper is going to use the spot market to cover infrequent freight or freight that falls off of their route guide, or they could potentially use it as opportunistic given market conditions. So in a very soft market, they're going to be in the spot market more, taking advantage of lower rates, and in a tighter market, they're going to try to leverage their route guide and procurement process as much as possible, and they're leveraging the spot market on an as-needed basis. On a carrier side, there are two different carriers that really focus on spot market in different ways. There is a spot-focused carrier that a significant portion of their network activity revolves around spot freight and interacting with the spot market. And that is their core strategy. And then there is another type of for-hire carrier that has significantly more customer-focused freight and only leverages the spot market to supplement volume and really keep the network running in between the customer loads. Who wins in this dynamic? Well, it really depends on the market conditions and how each entity leverages the spot market. But the spot market does provide challenges. And if you go to the next slide, please. Inherently, the spot market decisions are narrowly focused on both sides, right? As a shipper, you're using it as either an opportunistic move or an as-needed move. On the carrier side, they're leveraging it to take advantage of a tighter market or fill in gaps in their network to fill the operation. It's also a very disaggregated market, right? There's no one sole platform that houses all spot freight, and it makes it very challenging for both sides to make a much more network-focused decision on leveraging the spot market as opposed to just a singular load or singular problem decision. Because of that, the spot market decisions tend to be fairly short-term in nature, right, or they're opportunistic in nature. So that's it's a brief overview. Spot market is a very big thing, but we're focusing on kind of these two decisions. So I'll turn it over to Joe and Giselle.
All right, thank you, Zach. And for all the reasons Zach mentioned, we are excited to introduce our newest addition to OD's suite of planning and execution tools for the truckload trucking industry, our product Source. So for those of you that are not entirely familiar with what Optimal Dynamics does, we produce artificial decision intelligence solutions for truckload trucking carriers. We do both short-term, medium-term, and long-term execution and planning products and solutions. In the short-term bucket, we have dispatching and execution solutions, so producing driver tours, driver load matching assignments. In the medium-term bucket, we do load acceptance and tactical procurement. So if you have a brokerage division, we're deciding which loads are best for asset, what should go on brokerage. If you have EDI tenders coming in, which ones you should accept, which ones you should reject. And then in our long-term planning bucket, we have RFP analysis tools, bidding tools, strategic analysis tools. All of this is like a comprehensive suite for how you bring freight into your network how you plan it in the medium term, and how you execute it in the short term. But the one thing we were missing up until this point was the ability to effectively evaluate the external freight market. So when customers were pulling in freight through their standard channels, through their shipper partners, through the bidding tool, we were able to produce a very effective solution that already fundamentally changed operations and provided huge impacts just through their standard channels and going through the tactical procurement and execution tools. But one thing that we were missing and our customers were struggling with was where and when to inject external freight in the right places at the right amounts to fill in the gaps in their network, both in the network planning phase and in the real-time phase, to produce the most profitable, the most efficient possible network. And so we saw this problem, we saw our customer needs, and we're like, we have to produce a solution for that. Not only does it really round out the comprehensive solution we have, but our technology is just perfect for it. So once we're able to get all our data ducks in a row and include that in our optimization tool, we came up with this very impactful product, Source. And Source is fundamentally two things. One, it is a data aggregation tool of all your disaggregate external sources. So whatever you're connected to, however you receive loads that are not your standard channels, whether that's your emails, your private customer boards, or public brokerages that you scour for additional loads. We're going to take all these connections and pull them into one place in a nice, easily actionable UI. You could search, it'll search amongst all the disaggregate sources and provide a link to go ahead and bid on a load that you want to attack. And you can imagine that in and of itself, this is a very valuable tool. For example, you're trying to source a load for a driver that is underutilized or fill a gap in a network, and you're looking at your standard, your private customer board here, and up over here on the public brokerage board pops up this perfect load that would really fill a gap for that driver, and you just miss it because you're not there to go ahead and take action on that. So just having this aggregation tool is very aggregation and a place where you can action this procurement opportunity is very valuable. But then what I'm more excited about is the ability to include that information directly in your network plans and your dispatching plans. So we can take information about everything that's out there in the external market that you have access to, distill it into the important information, and include it directly in your dispatch and your network plans. And we're going to do it in a way that is robust to transient data, to data that, let's say a load may pop up on a board and then come off a board very quickly. We're going to include it in a way that you're actually able to action these plans. And it mixes very well with your standard book of business, your TMS loads. They are injected just at the right, whatever level of injection you're comfortable with to work with your traditional loads, the loads that are in your TMS that come through your standard channels. And it's injected right there in your dispatch optimization and network plans. And the combination of these two things should provide a very impactful solution that has the potential to transform how you think about sourcing. So Giselle, I'll let you take the impact here.
Thanks, Joe. Yeah, this optimization of both booked and available spot freight enables your team to more efficiently source the right freight at the right time. So what does this mean? The automated recommendations provide the best load for your drivers, which can be either a book load that you already have in your TMS or a source opportunity. And when it's a source opportunity, the engine is able to provide a strategic pickup and destination to those source. So you're sourcing with intention, with a plan, sending your driver into a destination that's valuable for your driver in the future, as well as your network as a whole. Our forecasting technology also combines with source to provide a look ahead at what load volume you should be accepting or sourcing by lane to optimize your network. So how much additional freight can you put on each lane that will be covered by your drivers, and should it come from source or from a different come from sourcing it in the spot freight or from your brokerage, wherever it needs to come from, this you can proactively build out your network so that you have less need down the road or downstream to have those near-term sourcing for your driver, like in the moment reactive sourcing for your driver. So these two combine, both the strategic sourcing for your drivers with a plan, with an intention, with a destination, as well as proactively you're building your network ahead of time, getting enough low volume for your lanes ahead of time, results in increased driver utilization. So you're looking at better revenue for your drivers, better miles for your drivers per week, and really optimizing with this additional freight that we're able to help you make decisions on. So before we dive deeper into how we built this, what the inner workings of the solution looks like, let's walk through a couple of examples of how it looks in the platform itself. So what you're looking at here is our dispatching screen, so our execute dispatching screen. We're looking at assigning by driver, so I have a list of all the different drivers that are available for dispatch in the future. Their PTA is out in the future. And the engine is automatically reviewing all the different drivers, their availability now and their availability in the future, as well as those loads that are in your TMS. And with Source, the load opportunities that exist in those load boards to optimize and automatically recommend the best load match for your drivers so that you can assign out your drivers quickly and confidently here in the dispatch tool. So again, here on the left, you see all the different key information for your drivers, their different IDs, where they're at now, what events they have scheduled, if they have any assigned loads already on them, and when they're going to be available next for dispatch. And then on the right is that automated match for the driver. So you can see a mix of different things. So what we keep talking about is this blend. So you have a blend of load IDs and tours. So 4 load tours, multiple loads that are from your TMS that are built into a tour that are ready to assign. So you can come in here, review those, and assign them to your driver now. But there also now is this source load opportunity recommendation. So if there isn't the right fit in your TMS, if you don't have the right book loads for the driver, and there's also the engine is able to find there's available freight out in your load board that is a good fit, that's a good lane and a good fit for your driver, that will pop up right here as an automated recommendation for your driver. So let's dive in a little deeper into what these source load opportunities look like. One example is a tour match. So you could have a 4-load tour that's based on 4 loads that already exist in your TMS, or you could also have a source load opportunity tour match, which looks like this. So you have this match card here is the full tour, and you'll see it's a combination of 3 loads that are already in your TMS. So load 1, 2, and 4. And then these are tied together. This tour is made possible by this recommendation to source a load from Chattanooga to Dothan. And so the engine is recommending this source load because there is available freight in this lane, and it is creating this tour that's a really good opportunity for your driver. And with a single click, you can assign. I'll walk you through, actually, we'll walk through how to execute on this. I want to show you first another example of when a source comes out to play. So we have a source load opportunity here for when the driver needs to get home. So right now, this driver needs to get home into Boulder, Colorado, and there aren't any good loads in the TMS to get the driver home loaded. So right now, if nothing changes, this driver is going 1,000 miles empty home. The engine is recommending a source to home opportunity to source a load from LaPorte to Boulder because it's finding available freight in this lane and thinks that you can successfully reduce these empty miles for this driver if you go and source a load. So there's 2 examples of how you can source intentionally with a plan here in dispatching for your driver. Let's look a little deeper into how you actually execute on these recommendations. So I'm a dispatcher and I'm reviewing all these different opportunities for my drivers for A Collins, and I like this tour match for my driver. I think it's a good fit. So I'm going to approve this decision. And so first step is to go ahead and review it one more time. And then these first 2 loads already exist in my TMS. So I'm going to it's green because I'm going to go ahead and assign those to my drivers, get him moving, get him a plan that has 2 loads on it. There's a lot of value in that already, right? And then I'm going to send a request to source this lane from Chattanooga to Dothan. So I'm going to do that. And as a dispatcher, I can continue to stay on this page, go through each driver, look at all the different optimized match types, and work all of the different drivers, assign them out, and really get them moving. Or I can come in here into need sourcing, or my planner can come into need sourcing, and now there's a queue of drivers that have need sourcing opportunities. So on them. So like when there's source recommendations and they've been approved, they come in here. So you can see A. Collins is now in here with this Chattanooga to Dothan sourcing request. So myself as a planner or the dispatcher, whoever's in charge of doing this activity, can come in here, see this request, and quickly with a single click, search for a load that meets this requirement. So you can see here on the left, as a reminder, we're going from Chattanooga to Dothan. And with that single click, it's resulting in all the different loads across all my different load board connections that match this lane from Chattanooga, sorted from distance to pickup, so I can try to minimize the deadhead to pickup for this lane. And a couple other key specs, so like rate per mile if it's provided, how long it's been on the load board, because the fresher the load, the more likely you are to receive a bid, and other additional information to inform how I'm going to, which one I'm going to select. So from here, I can go click source link and go out and source, start bidding on this load. If I don't get it, I can come back here, find the next best load, source link, and continue until I achieve and get a bid accepted.
Okay, Giselle, before you leave this page, I want to reiterate on a really important point here. So notice how in your external sources, there's several sources here. There's several actual loads that fit this this recommendation, this source recommendation here. And that's an important point. We're choosing these recommendations. The recommendations are actually just search criteria on the external sources that you have access to. And we're choosing these criteria to be robust, such that if you miss on the top load, if you're not actually able to procure that, there's plenty of other options that still fit this driver's tour and still fit the network plans that we're generating, such that you could fill it in with a secondary or tertiary option, and it wouldn't cause a major disruption to the plans you're making. All right, that's a really key point in how we're attacking this source problem. Oh, Giselle, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Thanks, Joe, for adding that. That's a really crucial part of this and a really exciting piece of what makes this so valuable. All right, so not only does source provide when and where to get spot freight for drivers in this near-term application, it also provides that forecasted outlook of the load volume that you can successfully put on your lanes, and it will be covered by your drivers and optimized for your key metrics. So let me pull up that real quick.
Some technical difficulties.
Yeah, sorry, we'll pulling that still.
We're about to look at our tactical procurement tool, which is our medium-term planning solution. So this is where you have maybe less visibility into what you're eventually going to take in your network. The loads from your standard channels haven't all been booked in the TMS, and you have to make some decisions with some uncertainty. So this is kind of OD's bread and butter patented stochastic optimization technology, which I'll touch on later. But we're going to distill that information into an easily actionable screen for you that provides asset or recommendations to switch loads over from brokerage to asset if you have a brokerage division, how many EDI tenders you should accept on a certain day to really start to build out your network. And then overlaid on top of this is our new source recommendations, which say, okay, now how much should I attack the external market and in which lanes, such that I start to build a more efficient network further out into the future. Oh, great. All right, here's the screen. So as I was saying, so how do I build a more efficient network out further into the future, combining external sources, combining what's on your internal sources, your brokerage division, your asset division, with the expectation that certain loads are going to eventually come into your system according to a certain profile that we can learn about and we can forecast. So starting over. If I can point you to that top tab, you can see we're on 07/01/2024. So this is, what's this, next Monday? Next Monday, this is what we're recommending to do to start proactively building your network in the absence of all the freight that will be there. And according to this hypothetical carrier profile, we are saying that, if I could direct you to the top line item, Chattanooga to Laredo, Texas here. Let's just start looking at this disaggregate level. On this day, we already have 5 booked on asset. We know, according to your demand profile, according to what has happened in the past, according to our forecasting engine, that approximately 4 to 5 loads will appear in this lane, and you should be prepared for those to come in. To fill network gaps, you should also pull in 4 loads from your brokerage division and move them onto your assets. Okay, that could free up your brokerage division to do something else. This could also be EDI tenders. If you have a connection to EDI tenders, you can pull in 4 more loads to asset. And then this is the new product here. This is the source recommendation based on what we know about your network, what we know is coming in, what we expect to come in. We're saying you should also go attack 2 to 3 loads in the external market in this lane. And then very similar to what Giselle showed earlier in the workflow, you can click on that. It could bring you over to the page where you could actually action them. And you could see the best loads ranked from top to worst and all the rates that are available there, and which ones you should actually attack to fill these network gaps. And doing this proactive planning, it frees up your dispatchers in the day of really short-term planning to not have to worry about all this external sourcing as much, because what we're doing is specifically curating the recommendations to be robust to a variety of network outcomes. Now, we're not going to be perfect. We're going to be better than just doing it based on other methods, because our technology is specifically designed to produce robust recommendations. But there are going to be in-time changes to the network that do require sourcing and dispatching. Let's face it, truckload trucking is an inherently uncertain industry, especially when it comes to changes in demand, driver failures, et cetera, that require changes to the network day of. So that's why we have source and all of this stuff embedded into dispatching as well. But if we could even move 10% of the planning further out into the future, you could start to free up time in the near term to do other important things for your network. It also allows us to potentially identify hot markets before other people catch on. Potentially, there's an increase in rates in a certain market that is not very typical. Well, if we're starting to plan out 2 weeks in the future, and we can start to maybe have a little shift in our recommendations towards that very profitable market, even if it shifts the network around slightly. If the optimization says to take it, then it is a good, robust decision. So that's our tactical procurement screen. And then I'd like to give you a little bit of behind the scenes of how we go and approach this problem from a technical level, albeit it's a bit high level. We're not going to give away too much of the secret sauce, but this is just the basic data points into how we go about and think about sourcing within our suite of tools. So, okay, the optimal dynamics difference, if you could click one. Okay, so this is optimal dynamics without sourcing included. So your main data points here are your TMS loads and the drivers that you have to dispatch. And we're going to feed those into our AI and optimization engine, along with a little additional information, some ancillary information about the network, such as your commitments, maybe your facility hours, and what you're trying to fundamentally achieve in your network. Some carriers may be concerned with lower empty mileage. Some may be concerned with really, really good on-time service. Others might want to service certain shippers with a higher level of quality than other shippers, and we want to know that. And some will be driven more by profitability. So we call that your objective function. And we take all that information into account, and put it into our optimization engine. Along with this ML model of your internal freight, that we could sample likely scenarios of forecasted loads. So especially for our midterm planning, but also for our shorter term planning as well. When you're planning 2-3 days in advance, a week in advance, a week and a half in advance, you don't have all the TMS loads booked that you will eventually have booked. So we need to kind of produce likely scenarios of the future so we can have robust recommendations on whether a real load should go on asset or brokerage, or whether we should go procure this external load, whether we should accept this EDI tender. We need to know what might happen in the future in order to make that decision. So combined with what we know today, with what is likely coming tomorrow, we can produce these midterm tactical procurement plans and short-term dispatching plans. And Giselle, if you would click. So that's our typical solution without source. And now we're going to overlay the external market information onto this solution. So over here on the left is your external sources that you might be connected to, whether it's email blasts, public boards, private boards, etc. We're going to then learn a machine learning model of the external freight as well before tossing that to the AI and optimization engine. And this is part of the patent pending workflow that we thought so hard about. You might say, why not just toss in all the external loads into the optimization engine and just let it pick the correct loads for the plan? And the reason for that is, especially, let's say, in the public boards, but also this is a problem with private boards and in emails as well, is one, the data might not be incredibly clean. So what we want to learn stuff about that data, that what characteristics of the loads are actually available. For example, windows might be smaller than what's represented on the load board. And it could be that certain loads are in super high velocity lanes. You have very transient data. For example, a load pops up on a load board and then it's gone. But there's a lot of them popping up and down on this in this really highly popular lane where a bunch of carriers are going to grab that load at once. And by the time the user sees the recommendation, actually tries to action that load, it might be gone. So that's not a very valuable recommendation. What we want to optimize on is the probability that a load will be available in a lane and it's actually actionable for your users to go and pull something in. So we're going to model that and then include that in the optimization engine. Giselle, you can click. And then embedded in the tactical procurement and the shorter term dispatching plans will be the spot and lane volume recommendations based off that information we've gathered from the external market, as well as spot load recommendations within the dispatching plans. And these recommendations are really just search criteria, albeit robust search criteria, according to the methodology that I've just described, such that you could re-hit your external sources that you're connected to. And the search criteria will be valid for the plans that we have produced in our optimization when the user goes and sees them. And they should have a variety of options amongst the external sources that would fit the plans and achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve in your network. And I think this is a very, very innovative way to think about this sourcing problem. It is not just your standard, all your drivers are here, all your loads are here, let's try to fill in gaps here and now. It's not a deterministic optimization approach that might just take a look at what's available in the external market and create tours out of that. I don't view that as necessarily a very robust recommendation, especially if you have to go procure multiple markets in the same tour. It's a way to combine your internal freight with the external freight in a very robust sense that still achieves and fundamentally acts like you want your network to operate, mixed in with your current deployment of the OD solution. So I think this is a very unique way to approach the problem and a very impactful way to approach the problem. We've already seen with our standard suite of tools the incredible benefits that you can get without the sourcing solution, and adding this on top should produce a multiplicative benefit. So we're very excited to introduce Source, and I'll pass it over to Zach to wrap us up here.
Yeah, thanks, Joe and Giselle. So yeah, as you can see, Source is a fantastic addition to an already robust suite of optimization tools that OD deploys as one platform. So the same decision engine that is executing the granularity of your business, driver dispatch, load acceptance and allocation, is the same decision engine that's supporting your more upstream, longer term strategic initiatives such as network studies, fleet studies, domicile studies, bid award studies. So you can actually simulate bid awards on the network with the same engine that's making the decision and is calibrated to your current customers, your current SLAs, your current drivers, your current permits, et cetera, to even enhance your long-term strategic goals as well. And if you kind of follow, if you go to the next slide, Giselle, if you follow some of the recent press releases that we've made with the successes that some of our customers have had, all of our customers go through a very robust proof of value process. And I would encourage anyone that's interested in learning more about OD to interact with our team, because this process is a well thought out and proven process to allow you as a prospective customer to understand if the optimization logic and approaches that OD takes are a fit for you. We believe they are, and we'd love to have that conversation. But this is a process that it has been proven to really validate the need for sophisticated tools like this and their application on your network. So we would welcome the conversation. Joe and Giselle, thank you so much for the presentation.
So we have another minute or two here, and I would just like to answer two questions that have popped up. The first one is, can I purchase Source as a standalone product?
Yeah, I can take that. So Source is a complement to the suite of OD solutions. So Source is complementary to the OD platform itself, and it is not sold separately outside of the OD platform.
And just one more, this is a quick one here. So is this available today?
Yeah, I can take that. It is available today. And so as Zach said, reach out to us, reach out to our sales team, and we can definitely work with you, go through that POV process, and including Source in that entire process by default, so that we can show you the value of both our current Execute platform as well as this Source added on top.
Awesome. Well, I just want to thank all of you, Giselle, Joe, and Zach, for a fantastic deep dive into the newest optimal dynamics solution, Source. And thank you for everyone who joined us today. It's clear that with the right technology, carriers can make better decisions, save time, and maximize profitability. We'll continue to follow up offline on any other questions. And of course, you can reach out to us directly here on LinkedIn or at sales@optimaldynamics.com. And we hope to see you on the next LinkedIn Live webinar. Thank you.
Thank you all.